Zora Neale Hurston was born on January 7th, 1891 in Nottowsilga, Alabama. She was the fifth child of John and Lucy Ann Hurston. Hurston was an anthropologist, folklorist, and author in the Harlem Renaissance era. A job she had when she was young led her to Baltimore, where she was a 26-year-old woman without a high school education. Hurston lied and said she was born in Edenville in the year 1901 so she could receive a free high school education. Zora attended Howard University from 1921 to 1925 and won a scholarship to attend Barnard College. At Barnard College, Hurston studied anthropology. Hurston graduated from Barnard College in 1928, then continued to study for her graduate degree in anthropology from Columbia University. In 1930, Hurston collaborated with Langston Hughes on a play titled Mulebone, a comedy of Negro life in 3 acts, although it was never finished and published posthumously in 1991. By 1935, Hurston had published her first novel, Jonah's Gourdvine, a collection of black folklore called Mules and Men, and several short stories and articles. In 1937, Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God, her masterwork, was published. Tell My Horse in 1938, and another masterwork, Moses, Man of the Mountain, in 1939. Hurston did not receive the credit she deserved until after her autobiography, Dust Tracks on a Road, was published in 1942. Zora Neale Hurston published Their Eyes Were Watching God during the Harlem Renaissance era. The Harlem Renaissance was a time when African American artists believed they were to use their works to promote the assimilation into white American culture. Hurston forced a lot of criticism from her peers because of her lack of interest in addressing racism in her works. Their Eyes Were Watching God was written by Hurston in only 7 weeks while she was in Haiti. She was there researching Haitian voodoo and folklore for her book, Tell My Horse, that would be released the next year. Their Eyes Were Watching God was originally published by J.B. Lippincott on September 19, 1937. Their Eyes Were Watching God is about the journey of Janie Crawford goes on in her marriages to Logan Killicks, Joe Starks, and Tea Cake to discover her identity and strength. Janie Mae Crawford is the protagonist in the story. The story begins with Janie talking with Phoebe about the death of her husband Tea Cake and the spiritual and physical journey she had been on during her life. Through all the ups and downs Janie had been through, she had found the love and true love and was content with her life she had lived. Logan Killicks was Janie's first husband. In fear that Janie would be taken advantage of and become pregnant out of wedlock, Nanny made her marry Logan because he was able to take care of Janie financially and keep her safe. In the brief time that two were married, Janie was never happy. She didn't feel the physical or emotional connection that she needed in order to love Logan. Through their marriage, Janie learned that marriage was not the route to satisfaction and expression. When Joe Stark strolled by Janie as she was outside working, he immediately caught her attention because he looked nothing like what she was used to. His smooth talking and big aspirations for life entranced Janie, and she left Logan to follow Joe on his adventure. Joe represented a life that Janie had always wanted but never had. Joe exemplified power on his political and economic conquest when the two arrived in Edenville. His need for power took form in Janie and Joe's marriage as domination and control. Joe controlled her speech and limited her position to the home. He turned her into a commodity that he possessed. The freedom that she had sought when she left Logan was taken from her, and she was more oppressed than she had ever been. Janie lived for years under the domination of Joe Stark. The older Joe became, the more demeaning and criticizing he was toward Janie. He took out his own insecurities on Janie, and that is what severed the last bit of physical and emotional connection they had. As Joe was dying, Janie went to speak her piece. She wanted him to acknowledge that he needed help. His hard-headedness is ultimately what led to his death. Janie felt relieved. She was finally free of the dominion and control that Joe had over her for 2 centuries of her life. After Joe's death, Janie felt the power that Joe had over her was lifted, and she was free to be her own person. She had finally seen herself as a strong woman she was for the first time in her life. For a while after Joe's death, Janie was lonely and lost. This was the first time in her life she wasn't being controlled or influenced by another person. She wasn't looking for anyone. She was perfectly content with the freedom and independence she had. When TK came into town, Janie was instantly attracted to his looks and his personality. He immediately swept Janie off her feet with the way he treated her, so unlike Logan and Joe. Although TK was Janie's greatest love, he still wasn't perfect. He was an extremely jealous person and would be violent to Janie. She still remained steadfast to TK despite him accusing her of infidelity and threatening her with beatings because of her love she had for him. Janie believed that she had found her one true love in TK. TK and Janie's relationship was a journey of self-actualization. Janie grew from experience that her and TK went through together, and Janie's love for TK never failed or wavered, even until his traumatic death. She shot and killed the love of her life. The title of the novel comes from TK's heroic act to save Janie from the rabid dog and the decision Janie made to defend herself, losing the love of her life. The freedom and growth that Janie had during their relationship with TK was ultimately what made her realize her own strength. The story ends back where it started, with Janie talking with Phoebe when she made it back to Eatonville. The memory of her lovers made Janie realize that misery and sacrifice are necessary to discover who you truly are. Janie found who she was, and the strength that she had gained through this gave her the wisdom to start a new life. Through Janie's hardships and finding true love, she found herself.